everyone. This is Catherine Temple from Go Campbell River working with Shaw Cable to interview Steve Watson from BC Hydro. He is the communications manager for the big hydro projects that are happening in Campbell River as we speak. And from what I understand, there's a lot more on the table. So Steve, welcome to Shaw Cable.
Good to be here. Thanks, Catherine.
We've actually done this before. Steve and I had an interview a number of years ago now, was it?
It has, about 2013, if I think.
Yeah, and that was just before before you actually started the new project that is working right now.
That's right. We had, at that stage, we hadn't had the final approvals. So, yeah, a lot of things have happened since then.
Yeah, and now we're into it for how long? How long have we been into it?
Well, the John Hart project is about a 5-year-long construction period, and they're almost 18 months in, so a ways to go yet.
So we're well on our way though, right?
Well on our way, absolutely.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about where we stand actually with the project to start out with, and then we'll go on to what's going to happen next.
Sure. Well, the John Hart Generating Station Replacement Project, we awarded that work to InPower BC, which is SNC-Lavalin, Aecon, Frontier Kemper, groups like that who designed the project and are building it, and they're actually going to operate it for about 15 years. And so it's a good relationship where we get a very good kind of performance warranty. And so right now, it's a 5-year construction period. They're about 18 months in, and in many ways it's a mining operation. They're carving out all those tunnels, the powerhouse cavern and that kind of thing. So there's about 200 people working on the site. So they have equipment to basically there's 2 underground portals to go down to the powerhouse cavern. That's the main activities, but also they're in all areas of the site. They're up by the John Hart intake dam, where we're moving the water conveyance system over by the concrete spillway dam. And so they've just completed the coffer dam, so we can dewater that.
What does that mean? What is a coffer dam?
Yeah, so basically, rather than lowering the entire reservoir, we build a coffer dam that's attached to the concrete John Hart Dam. Mm-hmm. And so within that crescent-shaped area, we can dewater that small area and allow us to do that work in the dry. So Fraser River Pile and Dredge just completed that work. There's 57 piles, and then they've been braced together, so we're going through the process to dewater that area, and then we start doing the water release works, and basically water passage through the dam that'll go about 100 meters straight down in the bedrock, and then down about 1.5 kilometers to the powerhouse cavern. And that powerhouse cavern is about 93 meters long. It's about as long as an NFL football field.
No, that doesn't exist right now.
It doesn't, and we're carving that out. It's all underground.
Okay.
And so that'll go to that powerhouse where water will pass through it, and then go about 600 meters through a tail race tunnel. And they're working on the tail race outlet right now, which is basically the water's going to come out very close to where the existing station is today. So the existing station continues to operate all through this process, and then we'll transfer operations around the end of 2018 once this new facility is constructed.
So once you're done with this, then that existing station will be completely gone, will it?
That's right. So the penstocks, there's 3 large penstocks. They're about 1.8 kilometers long. They run from the dam down the generating station. Those will all be removed and that area reforested. We'll remove 2 of the 3 white surge towers. Mm-hmm. They're not part of that new configuration. We'll keep one of them just because it's got communications equipment, mm-hmm. visual aid for the airport, that kind of thing. But so that'll stay. And the powerhouse will be removed. So our footprint, our operating footprint, will be much diminished, and that'll benefit certainly the surrounding Elk Falls Provincial Park.
Well, I certainly have noticed when you drive up General Hill that you see the roadway and you see the upgrade and construction on the road, but you don't really see the projects. So how can people get a really good feel for actually getting an idea of what the project looks like?
Yeah, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's behind the trees and it's all underground. So we issue construction reports monthly, and we're now approaching, I think, our 29th construction report. It'll be issued end of this month. So that's posted on the BC Hydro website, the Chamber of Commerce Major Projects Web portal site, and Go Campbell River website. Yeah. And so people can see the progression over time and go back and see the previous reports. We also do construction videos, about 9 of them over the 5-year construction period. So we did one in January, February of this year. We're just completing one now. Should be ready at about the end of November. And so that goes inside the caverns and the tunnels and allows people to kind of try to visualize what's happening. So, you know, I think by and large people know that we're doing some work, but it's when people go up to the site and the Interpret Center and they see the massive amount of effort and the scope of the project, they're pretty surprised that it's to that extent. So,
yeah. So the Interpretive Center, talk a little bit about that. 'Cause I
Well,
know that
that's
people-
another method where we can communicate to the community. It's basically a construction trailer that we've modified, and it's got a bunch of wall panels, a touchscreen TV, where there's videos on the project and kind of how we generate power and those kinds of things. And so that started in around November of 2013. We developed a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce where they staffed it along with BC Hydro, because at that stage it's about the jobs and subcontracts and how that's going to work. And then we developed a really good relationship with the museum at Campbell River, and so they staff it now, and they bring elements to the museum to the Interpreter Center as well. So it's a more well-rounded out facility, and on the social history as well. So it's been fantastic. You know, we're about just about 18,000 people through it this calendar year.
Wow.
And with our partnerships with the Rotary Club and BC Parks, we have that 80-spot parking lot, the Interpreter Center, the trail that's wheelchair accessible down to a lookout over the Elk Falls, and of course Elk Falls Suspension Bridge. So it all works, and we have a feedback book, or comments book in there. It's pretty remarkable to see people from all over the world comment on how things are working and working well together.
Well, I wanted to make a point of mentioning the fact that this parking lot, BC Hydro built the parking lot, did they not, at no cost to locals?
Yeah, so basically with this project we have to shut the road down across the John Hart Dam. So that allows us to do the work at the site. And that's the only entrance into Elk Falls. And so we were going to build a temporary access road, temporary gravel parking lot, temporary bridge over the penstocks during the construction period, and then remove it all, and then go back to the way it was. But with discussions, the Rotary Club, basically they couldn't build the suspension bridge without parking, because parking previously was very small. You couldn't do it.
Very small.
So this parking lot's designed safety through design, so its flow always goes in one direction. 80 spots for buses, RV. We had a school bus there today, checking things out, which is great. So yeah, it's, you know, with the parking lot and the trails and our relationship with the Rotary Club and sponsoring them, and we even helped with the geotechnical work with the rock, right? It's a significant benefit for the community. I mean, really, BC Hydro wants a safe facility that can withstand an earthquake, that's reliable, protects downstream fish habitat. We're getting that with this design. It's very innovative. And yet the community can get these wins, whether it's the trail systems, another element, so that helps, and that's good for the community.
I did notice, I was actually up there on the weekend bringing some friends from out of town up to the suspension bridge, and there was two things I noted. One of them was that there was a lot of cars in the parking lot, even it being November, the end of November. The other thing is that when you come out of the parking lot past the interpretive center, that there's a lot of construction seems to be going on right there. And the first thing that my friend said was, I see they're doing a bunch of work in the park. That's not the park though, right? What is that construction? It's almost like a walkway around the penstocks. So
That's right. There is, BC Hydro has 250 acres within the middle of the Elk Falls Provincial Park. And so all that work is on BC Hydro property. And
so has that been, that is historically BC
yeah,
Hydro's
well,
property?
basically what happened, the BC Power Commission, they carved out that 250 acre from the middle of the park to build the original John Hart project in the 1940s.
Oh, okay.
So that's been there since then. And with this project, there's a few access roads we have needed to widen, and we went through a BC Parks boundary adjustment process and other measures, and that's part of the reasons why we're supporting BC Parks and the Rotary Club, because we want a net gain to the park once we're finished. So
When you say net gain, what does a net gain
better
mean
than
for
what
you?
exists prior.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, thanks. So basically, we'd like to see the park even more improved than what it was when we started. And
So how are you
so
going to
that
accomplish
work.
that?
Well, basically, we need a little bit of land for the access roads for construction traffic to get in and out, and depending on the design of where things landed. So we wanted to give back more property to BC Parks. That's really the net gain. But you know, for example, the parking lot, which is over and above this, the parking lot and areas of the trail system, we're going to turn over to BC Parks to manage. That's going to be the permanent access into Elk Falls.
Okay.
And so, you know, parking was basically a bit of a liability for BC Parks. If you wanted to go there certain times, you couldn't park.
That's right.
And it wasn't,
Very true.
so, and it's in the old growth forest, now it's not. So, but yeah, that access road we're building to get to the surge tank. The surge tank attaches to the tunnel, which is about 100 meters below the surface, and that provides pressure control within the tunnel. So that's a 2-lane road that we're building so we can get to that surge tank area.
So will that all be reclaimed once you're finished?
Well, that will need a service road after that, but it'll probably just be a one-lane road.
Right.
But for the interim, we just need to get 2 lanes in so we can get traffic in and out, and after that, we'll smooth things out.
So tell me a little bit about why is BC Hydro putting all this money? I mean, we're talking about over $1 billion worth of expenditures to actually do this, and it doesn't seem like a very big hydro project in itself, not compared to some of like the Site C dams and things like that. So why is BC Hydro putting so much money into this?
Yeah, well, we had 3 project drivers, which is seismic withstand, because we live close to the Cascadia subduction zone and major earthquakes that hit this area from time to time. The facility was like a car. It got to a certain point where we need to replace it at 68 years old. And 95% of the river flow comes out of the generating station. So if we have multiple units shut down, we impact downstream fish habitat. So we looked at all kinds of options. We looked at rehabilitation, we looked at decommissioning, we looked at various replacement options, and we landed on the replacement option. And we went through the BC Utilities Commission, which regulates the rates within the BC Hydro, because our customers pay for these projects, right, through rate increases. And so that process went through, and this isn't to get more power. This is social environmental drivers and safety drivers. We do get about a 9% increase in power output. We go from supplying about 74,000 homes to about 80,000 homes, but that wasn't really why we're doing it. We were doing it just because of those social environmental risks. And so it's not cheap. It's $1.1 billion, and it was the largest project we had undertaken by dollar value. And of course, Site C is now started, and that's a much larger project. But it's a massive undertaking here at John Hart, and a lot of coordination, a lot of people involved.
So the basic pretense is that if we have an earthquake, we're in trouble, as it stands right now.
Yes, I mean, I think with
well, we are anyway, but
yeah, I think there'll be a lot of impacts across Vancouver Island. With our facilities, they're extreme consequence facilities. So if they fail, there's going to be a lot of damage and potential loss of life right downstream. So our dams need to withstand what we call a 1 in 10,000 year earthquake, which is a major earthquake. So
and when you're talking major, how big is major?
Well, everyone gets into magnitudes and things like that. We look at the ground shaking. So basically, the type of earthquake would cause a partial collapse of a house, and you wouldn't be able to stand. That's the type of earthquake that would put our facilities at risk.
Okay.
So the precursor is the John Hart Generating Station Replacement Project to replace that facility. It's all downstream of the dam. Replace the penstocks, replace the generating station. The intake into the reservoir that comes out of that currently is quite shallow. It's quite high up in the reservoir. The new tunnel intake is low, so allows us to draw down the reservoir to an upgrade to the dam itself. And I've often said people refer to this as the John Hart Dam Project, but we're not doing anything to the dam.
No, that's
it's downstream of it.
Yeah.
So once this project's finished, and it's $1.1 billion in around 2018, we've just started the John Hart Dam Safety Upgrade Project. We started First Nation consultations, stakeholders. We have a community liaison committee of about 25 stakeholders and agencies. And so we're starting to look at how we're going to basically be able to make works and put things in place so that dam could withstand a major earthquake. Certainly there's going to be damage, but that's okay. We want to be able to at least withstand that and even lower the reservoir and those kinds of things. So that could start, that project, it could start around summer of 2019, last 3 or 4 years. The same time, we're looking at Strathcona Dam, further upstream. And that's about a 20-year plus project. And the first component, which we've also just started First Nation consultation on and community engagement, is to build a low-level tunnel, basically a low-level outlet tunnel that would go either on the left or right bank of the dam, in bedrock, deep into the reservoir, to allow us to draw down that reservoir in the event of an earthquake. Because right now, the only way that water can go downstream is through the power conduit through the dam to the powerhouse, but that's not going to do well in earthquakes, so it'll be shut down. And then we have the spillway gates that are very high up in the reservoir. And we can't draw the reservoir down very low. So if we need to draw it down, we really can't. So this project will allow us to have that ability, and then beyond that, upgrades to the dam itself, and eventually even a new powerhouse that would probably feed off that new tunnel. So there's, everyone talks about the John Hart Generating Station Replacement Project, but we're here in Campbell River for major projects for 20 plus years.
So these other projects are actually in addition to the John Hart upgrade that we're getting right now.
Yes.
So we're not looking at a 5-year term here then. Now we're looking at a, how long?
20-year plus term.
20 years.
And so, you know, the John Hart Dam, Strathcona Dam, those projects are each in the hundreds of millions of dollars. 3-4 years in length plus, especially for Strathcona Dam because it's extended out. So that's, you know, that's make sure the system's safe and reliable. And of course, from an economic point of view, you know, that's a lot of subcontracts, a lot of work. So yeah, I mean, there was some thought, well, the John Hart's going to end and that's it. But we're going to be here for a long time.
And this is a given. It's going to happen. This isn't a maybe or possibility. It's just a matter of how it's going to happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have to go, for both of these major dam safety upgrades, we have to go through a regulatory process.
Yeah.
So that's the BC Utilities Commission, any environmental reviews. Of course, we have to get funding from our upper management and all those kind of things. So there's checks and balances and milestones, but we're going to try to do it in the most cost-effective way we can.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're proposing, those projects are proposed. We're starting the engagement process, and we'd like to proceed with them.
And you had said community consultations. Who are you consulting with?
Well, we first and foremost, we consult with First Nations. So that's the Weebukai, Cape Mudge Band, Campbell River Indian Band, Comox First Nation. So we meet with those bands on all our various projects. It's their traditional territory. It's very important that they're understanding and provide comment on these projects. And so, you know, through the John Hart project, we developed impact benefit agreements. So that goes from everything from fish stewardship to subcontracts and those kinds of things. So we're pleased that they're working with us. So that's really important for these projects and for our relationships. And then the broader community, we have a liaison committee that started around 2007, and it's environmental groups, it's the city, it's local government, it's Fisheries and Oceans Canada, a number of people who come together, have a lot of experience and perspective. And that's how we did things like the Canyon View Trail and modified it to allow that trail to work through the construction phases, or other elements of the project where we can consider those comments and opportunities so the project can be better off rather than us just focused on a particular project. And it's funny, I met with Colleen Evans, the Chamber of Commerce, and she's talking about social procurement. And so there's, you know, just doing like for example, the John Hart project, we need to do what we need to do, but things like the relationship with the museum, the Interpret Center, the trail systems, the Elk Falls Suspension Bridge, those are kind of social benefits to the project.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to achieve, and working with First Nations and that kind of thing. So yeah, so far so good. We really appreciate the community interest because we're only as good as the community and what they provide. And so we really appreciate their time and effort on this too.
So within these liaisons that you have with the communities, is there any particular group that could stop you dead in your tracks for taking the next steps?
No, I don't think it's quite like that. I mean, it's interesting. We've had a lot of meetings since 2007. We meet about 3 times a year. It's one of collaboration. You know, we're very open on what our challenges are with these projects, and we bring all our engineers and appropriate people. It's at these meetings to provide comments. So it's not. I don't think it's like that. It's a very open, candid discussion. Yeah, absolutely.
So everybody wants to make it work.
Yeah, well, I mean, these are dam safety projects. These are about reliability projects. It's kind of hard to argue against those.
No, it is.
And you know, in many ways, we need to do them.
Yeah.
So, but let's do them in a way that the community understands and appreciates and can, you know, benefit from them.
So when the projects are actually completed in the next 20 years, which we're not going to be worried about because we're going to be retired somewhere, probably here. When it's all done, will there be more employment brought to the community because of the projects being upgraded, or is that kind of like a little early to tell?
Yeah, I mean, in Campbell River, we have about 100 people that work in the John Hart project. We call Vancouver Island Generation, the facilities on the island, and the power line technicians and designers on the power line side of the business. So that number probably isn't going to change from between now and 20 years from now. But obviously, we're having hundreds of people working on the construction of these projects. So it gives the City of Campbell River and other community interests an opportunity to take advantage of that. To, you know, the John Hart project just won a award, North American award, as a top P3 project.
Oh.
So for 2015, it was a top project in North America. So that's due to the innovation. It's due to our working with the community, the financing, all those kind of things, and that's putting Campbell River on the map. So. It's a fantastic place to live and work, which we all know, but it gives Campbell River an ability to get through this time period to see which direction it wants to go, and for whether it's tourism or some other theme. And Hydro is certainly happy to be involved, and indirectly we're fostering that economic development. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time.
You had said a little while ago something about you have a new building in town. Now that's up at the Quinsam Crossing.
Yes.
Now, is that as a result of this project? Because that's another multi-million-dollar project that I think was just completed, is that right?
Yeah, that was our district office. It was on Evergreen Road. Mm-hmm. It's been there for decades, 40 plus years, and it was to the state where we completely outgrew it. And so we looked at various sites, and we landed on the Quinsam Crossing area, on the Weewakai lands. It's the first facility on a First Nation reserve in the province, so that was, it speaks about relationships. So that was finished, and crews and staff moved in January of 2015. And that facility is designed for, whether it's an earthquake or some event, there's ability to coordinate through that office. It's prepared for those kinds of events. So yeah, that was about a $20 million project. And Omicron was our project construction manager for us, but a lot of local people worked on it. About 60 jobs were working on it. And we're focused on the generation side of it, but we're just starting the Campbell River substation. There's a lot of growth in this area, as people know, especially South Campbell River area, and our grid's getting to capacity. So on the top of 7th Avenue, or the lower part of 7th Avenue, depending on how you look at it, there's a substation there that's been there for many years, and we're going to add a third transformer and add 4 circuits out of it. So that work will start in 2016, 2017 be in service. So that's allowing the Campbell River area to continue to grow. And so it's not just about the dams and generating stations, it's about the power grid and the substations, and making sure that we can provide that reliable power.
I really noticed in looking at that building when it was being built up in the Quinsam Crossing how incredibly sophisticated it looked. It didn't look like a regular building. I mean, there's more wires going through those walls than I've ever seen. And I thought it was really interesting that it almost seems like the John Hart project is spurring all these other little projects, which, I mean, $20 million isn't a little project, but it is when you're talking in the billions of dollars. And I guess we can be pretty lucky being in Campbell River that we actually have this at this time, because it gives us some solid ground to work from. Yeah,
well, I mean, BC Hydro, we're spending about $2.4 billion a year for the next 10 years. And it's just, we're in a complete rebuilding stage. Our facilities are 50 odd years old, maintaining reliable power for population growth and all those kind of things. And I would suggest that Campbell River is a quintessential example of that. I mean, it's kind of the model community of you've got substation upgrades, you've got dam safety upgrades, you've got generating station upgrades, the district office, we needed to it's just a really good snapshot of the type of work that we're doing. And this is over, in this case, 20 plus years. So we're doing our work across the province. And I guess Campbell River is lucky in terms of the economic opportunities within that. But we're not looking to spend a bunch of money, but we've identified that our facilities are aging. They need to be upgraded. Our knowledge on earthquakes is much better. We spent about 6 years and about $10 million to better understand what an earthquake would look like, and it could last up to 2 minutes in duration.
Wow. So
that's going to cause damage, so we want to make sure our facilities can withstand that.
Yeah. And I guess we could also say that we're also very lucky to be living in Campbell River.
Absolutely,
no
it's a great place.
No matter which way you look at it.
Well, we have our construction reports, and we try to profile the people side of it. And so people who live here know how good it is, and there's others who have come from other parts of the country or other areas of the world for that matter, and they're pretty blown away by this community, and they want to stay here. Right? The fishing and the hiking and go skiing and golfing in one day, right? Yeah. So it's a beautiful area.
So this is Catherine Temple from Go Campbell River doing community access for Shaw Cable. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.
Located in British Columbia, Campbell River is a gateway to northern Vancouver Island. The John Hart hydroelectric facility was the catalyst for economic development of the area in the 1940s and 50s. BC Hydro has begun a replacement project for the facility with contractor InPower BC to address significant reliability, earthquake, and environmental risks. The new facility will be underground. Its innovative design enhances the surrounding Elk Falls Provincial Park by reducing the visual and physical impact on the park and river. The powerhouse is located approximately 100 meters below surface and is 40 meters high and 93 meters long. Construction requires 18 months of drilling and blasting, removing some 300,000 cubic meters of rock, enough to fill 120 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The powerhouse is accessed via 2 tunnel portals. The service tunnel is 116 meters long and provides a conduit for air, power, and worker pedestrian access. The main access tunnel, 384 meters in length, will provide truck access for ongoing maintenance of the station. The project includes a new water intake in concrete and rock that is deeper in the reservoir and will provide better operational flexibility. The intake includes water outlet valves, providing precise fish habitat flows down the Elk Falls Canyon. The majority of the water will enter the intake and 8.5 meter diameter power tunnel and go about 100 meters straight down into the bedrock. The tunnel slope will then level off at a 1% grade to the generating station. The tunnel can carry up to 124 cubic meters of water per second. That's enough water to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool in 20 seconds. A new surge tank provides water pressure management within the tunnel, replacing the 3 existing surge towers. The power intake tunnel is 1.4 kilometers long from the dam to the powerhouse. A water bypass system beside the powerhouse can quickly divert water around the turbines if needed to maintain water discharges and protect downstream salmon habitat from unplanned turbine and generator shutdowns. The powerhouse contains 3 turbines and generators, providing a 9.5% increase in annual power output, using the same amount of water as the original facility. The 132 megawatts of capacity is enough to power 80,000 homes. Once the water passes through the powerhouse, it enters a 650-meter-long tunnel, where it flows into the Campbell River just upstream of the existing station. The tail race and water flow is designed to preserve the 50-50 water flow split around First Island just downstream and maintain existing fish habitat. Power generated at the station will be transmitted by underground cables to the substation and into the wider BC Hydro power grid. Upon completion, the project's 3 drivers will be met. Electricity reliability will be significantly improved with new equipment in a modern station configuration. Being located in rock, the facility will be seismically strong, and fish habitat downstream will be protected by the water bypass facility. The project will create a peak of 360 jobs in 2016, positively affecting the local economy. To complete the project, the existing powerhouse will be removed. 2 of the surge towers will also be removed. One of the iconic surge towers, though not part of the new facility, will remain to support communications links. The existing 1.8-kilometer wood stave and steel penstocks will be removed, and the surrounding area reforested. The John Hart project will provide clean, safe, reliable power for generations, starting in fall of 2018.